I knew you were standing.
We're live. Everybody, thanks for tuning in today. Happy Friday. Agents who win. I've got my good buddy, Kevin Kendrick, former teacher, now top producer, real estate agent, and team leader. Kevin, I'm excited to have you here because this is an awesome. We've been on panels together talking about like how we've grown our teams and what we've done, and it's an honor to have you here. So I just want to kind of dive in and like learn about you. Obviously being a teacher for almost 20 years and then getting into real estate. What brought you on that journey?
Well, first off, Todd, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've always, I have followed, before we even met, I knew who you were. I followed you. I've always just kind of followed other, top producers in the business. And so when we got to serve on a panel together, I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. I get to serve with or meet Todd. And I met Brandy that day. And so that was really cool. So, but honestly, as far as getting into real estate, it's kind of weird. I reached the pinnacle of the food chain as far as what I wanted. I became a principal at an elementary school, and then like all things, life change happens. At the time I went through a divorce, and I, made the decision to go back in the classroom, but I also lost, $30,000, $40,000 of my salary. And so, cause now I'm a single dad, and I wanted to be able to do things with my son, and being a principal did not afford the hours in the day to be that dad I wanted to be. So long story short, a good friend of mine, Chad, he said, hey, yo, why don't you go get your real estate license, go work for Granny and Pop. And I got my license in 2010. And, I hung my license with Granny and Pop, so very small boutique type. Didn't sell a lot of homes, but I was back in the classroom. And I probably sold, got my license in the middle of the recession. So a lot of what I was selling to teachers. And then, of course, I was selling a lot of REOs. So I learned that system in 2010 to 2012. But I would sell 5, 6, 7 homes a year from 2010 to 2013. And I, interestingly enough, the business, I guess eventually, I got married, remarried, and long story short, I got recruited by Keller Williams twice. And ironically, at the same time, I shifted from working for Orange County Public Schools to working for Florida Virtual. And so in 2014, I joined Keller Williams. I really learned how to manipulate my schedule with Florida Virtual School so that I would do real estate in the morning and I would do Florida Virtual in the afternoon. And that was right around 2015. And my first full year with Keller Williams, I sold $3 million, and I've increased my volume and productivity ever since. And the one thing that most people don't know is that I was still working full-time for Florida Virtual, and I technically resigned or retired in May 2019. So in 2018, I sold $18 million as a full-time teacher with Florida Virtual School. So anyone who's watching this, if you say, I can't do it, I'm sorry, that's bull. You can do it. You need to look yourself in the mirror, and because you can do it. So if I could sell 17 million doing a 40-hour-a-week job, even though I was manipulating my schedule, you can do it as well. So, but yeah, so I left in May 2019, and I have not looked back. We love the teachers. We love the school system, but I am never going back to public education. I loved it. And both of my boys are products of it. So
let's talk about, doing 18 million or 19 million in was it 2018 or 2019 and being a full-time teacher. I mean, that was my production with my team back in like 2016 and 17. So it's like, you're doing that with a full-time job individually, and I'm trying to get a team doing that. And we're scaling now, but it's like, that's crazy being able to do that still and sell that much real estate. It's like, did you have a life? And that's what they always say, realtors don't have lives. Well, especially when you're working 40 hours on top of that.
Yeah. So that year, I would get up at 4:00 in the morning, and I still do for the most part. And, I did work long and hard, but we also, when it was time to go on vacations, we took amazing vacations because of that. We've got 2 boys, one's graduating this year. And, I just leveraged my time very well. I never felt like I was giving too much to one or the other. And, Florida Virtual never knew I was doing real estate, and real estate never knew I was doing Florida Virtual. And
Right.
I could not have done that if I was in a traditional classroom, because if
Right.
you wanted to go see a house at 4:30 and I had to call a student for a 5-minute phone call, I'd go show you the house and I say, hey, Todd, hey, keep looking around the house. I got to step outside real quick. I got to make a quick phone call. Step outside, make a quick phone call. Student never knew I was showing a house, and the buyers never knew. And and one thing about our business is, we're very unique that, the bulk of our business is in Lake Nona or, South Orlando. So it's very convenient to, if I'm showing houses, I'm showing 5 houses and I'm away for 2 hours versus the traditional. I'm showing 5 houses and I'm gone for 5 hours because you got to travel to Winter Park, then you got to go to all the different houses, and mine are in my neighborhood, and
that's the difference with us. Like, we're all over the place. So it's like, and sometimes buyer says, I want to move around Orlando. I'm like, okay, cool. I got a showing here, 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 and here. And it's like, let me route that. And then this one in the middle says, sorry, I can't do that time. So you're like, okay, let me rerun all this. It's so nice being when you concentrate on a community.
Yeah. And that's honestly, if I don't necessarily know if we'd be able to run our business the same way in different parts of the city. And so we've been very blessed and very fortunate to be part of this Lake Nona community, which is very new. I'll still put money that the majority of the people that live in Lake Nona today, we probably have about 20,000 people in our 2 zip codes, tack on 30 if you count St. Cloud. But more than half of those have come since 2015. So everyone's new. So there was no established real estate agent. In fact, the established real estate agents, most of them are now no longer established. They've either retired or moved on. And, kind of that next generation has come in, the Peter Liu's, the Kathy Harifords, the Kevin Kendricks. You still have people that grew their business, in the early 2010s or, 21st century that are still here that, Carrie Light is a staple. Debbie Irons is a staple. So people that we still, we love and respect, but we've just kind of seen this different group come through in the last 3 or 4 years that did not exist in real estate in 2016, 2015.
No, and that has been a growing area. I mean, because we got married out at the country club there in 2007, and it was a ghost town. And all of a sudden, it once the market took back off, because it was trying to back in 05 and 06, and once it took back off, I mean, when I think 11 and 12, when the market was coming back around, it really exploded, and it's just crazy to think of all the stuff going on out there. So
it's great because and people out here, they complain about traffic all the time, and I'm like, I grew up downtown Orlando, so you don't know traffic until you've been sitting on I-4, trying to go from Michigan Street to Parr, and it takes you 45 minutes to an hour just to go there. And Narcoossee traffic does not bother me, so we've been very blessed. Living in a community. Yeah. So it's neat to be out here where we're really seeing something come together. I had lunch 2 weeks ago out in Winter Garden, and I'm like, wow, this is what Lake Nona is going to look like in 100 years, and I'll be gone. I won't get a chance to see it. But there's going to be another segment of Central Florida that's going to say, man, we want our neighborhood to look like Lake Nona in 100 years. Because right now we're all saying we want to look like Winter Park, or we want to look like Winter Garden or Maitland or Lake Mary. And, we've probably got a good 25 years before we're built out.
Well, you get the cool little downtown area and all that stuff. And but you've got the urban community that's being built out there now, and they can pre-develop it versus, let's just figure out where the buildings are and what we can move roads around, because we don't want to take the old stuff down. So let's talk about your team. Give me some idea what you have. So, you guys have grown exponentially the last 2 years. And I want to talk about how you survived 2020. So what's it's you and your wife and 4 buyer's agents?
Yeah. So I got licensed first. My wife got licensed in 2016. She left her job. We realized, wow, we can make a living selling real estate. And of course, I still had the Florida virtual income coming in. So, and we did it by ourselves. She's always kind of worked in the customer care, the liaison with the listings. And so that's kind of what she does. In 2019, we brought on Richard A. Barr, who's the Orlando Real Producers Rising Star of the Month. And so Richard's an absolute rock star, and we've just elevated him to lead buyer's agent. And so he's going to be working with our buyer's agents. We also, last year, we brought on Alex Bennett, who's a part-time agent. He works at Lake Nona High School. He also is the water polo coach and the swim coach. And so he's a rock star, in the making. In fact, I would love for him to leave education like I did. I think he'd do amazing. We also last year we brought on Astrid, who's licensed, but she didn't do anything last year other than just kind of help us with open houses and anything that we needed. She was a part of the team, but she was really just kind of a filler. Well, she also had a full-time job. Well, guess what? She just quit her full-time jobs so she's coming on real estate full-time. And then we brought on Julie this year as a full-time agent. So realistically, right now we have 3 full-time buyers agents, a part-time buyers agent, and then we have a full-time admin / TC and Faith who came to us from California. And so it's great to have her on board as well. So that's kind of the makeup of our team. And then we outsource the bulk of our marketing. So, we do a lot of videos, we do a lot of Facebook. And so, God's blessed us with Melanie, who, came to us from the Washington, DC area, and she's just been, dynamite to have. And so she's part of our team, but she's not part of the Keller Williams team, so to speak. So, but she's definitely an extension of everything that we do.
Nice. And you guys, so you mentioned in 2019, you guys did around 70 transactions at 22 million. And of course, last year, we all tried to figure out what's going to happen. And you literally went from 70 to 116 deals with hitting $42 million with just 2 of you guys. So, I mean, that's right there's impressive growth and and bringing on new agents towards the end of that year. So it's like, that's all you guys. So tell us as we're trying to figure out who we market to, what was your primary business and how are you keeping in front of them?
So, I think like a lot of people when March hit, we went on spring break and okay, yeah, we're going to shut down. And in April, we had 2 closings in April, and and I just, it was Richard and I, and we just said, look, let's just call. I think everyone was kind of freaking out about, some people put their heads in the sand and everyone was kind of doing their own thing as far as, are we in a shifting market? Is the market going to crash? And we just got on the phone and we called and texted people every single day and asking how we can support them. And, you need toilet paper? Okay, cool. We got toilet paper. Just being a resource to people. And the next thing you know, we're selling 10 homes a month. I think a couple, 4 months in a row, we sold over $5 million a month, which we've never done before. And, now that's what we want to do each month. Now that's the new standard. So we just really dug in and just said, we're going to call our sphere and we're going to check in on them. And but we're also not going to be afraid to ask for business. I think that was a lot of people, they would say, hey, you got to check in on your database. Cool. We're going to check in on our database. But by the way, have you thought about selling your house? Now's a good time to leave. So it just really worked out for us that, Richard is kind of the yin to my yang when we talk about real estate, because I'm very relational face to face. And I can get us in front of large groups of people rather easily. That's just kind of my nature, is going into schools and saying, hey, can we provide breakfast to the teachers and can we talk to the teachers? And they're like, principals, I speak their language. So from a principal's perspective, everyone likes free food.
Right.
So, So, we're still working with the teachers just in different capacities. And, as we're getting the leads, Richard's just calling these leads. And next thing you know, we're just a machine and we're closing houses and people are calling us to sell their house and buy a house. And, we have I wouldn't call it an expression, but Richard likes to text and, text to me and he'll put it in all caps. It says, let's go. And that's kind of like it's huge for fun spot, but that means, hey, we're cooking, we're rocking and rolling. And, that's motivating to me that here's our buyer's agent. Really, he loves to call, he loves to text, and I love to get us in front of people. So during COVID, we couldn't go back into the schools because the schools were shut down. So guess what we did? We did mobile schools. We had where the teachers could come to Dunkin' Donuts, get a grab and go breakfast, get a bingo card, and then we do happy hour bingo with the teachers and we give away prizes. Nice. And of course we have their, we ask them for their contact information. Then we would do something like, we did a giveaway where, through Google Docs, we're like, hey, we're giving away all these amazing prizes because we partner really well with the businesses in our community. Businesses are getting shut down. And, there's a different part of our team where we really partner with businesses to help them grow. Not that we're experts in business, but we do it through social media and promoting them on some of our Facebook pages. And the interesting thing is, it's like, oh, you want two $50 gift cards? Sure, we'll give you $50 gift cards. And just the trade-off is to promote them. So now we're doing these Google. Yeah. So now we're doing these Google documents where we're putting it out on all these social media platforms. And now all of a sudden we got 1,000 new contacts. And we asked them all, hey, have you thought about buying or selling? And, we might have gotten 20 or 30 deals out of that. So COVID has definitely changed. I think it's from a business perspective, it's definitely elevated our business. I think, Todd, I run a Facebook page in Lake Nona with 12, 13,000 people. Then when you add in our business pages that we run, that's probably another 8, 9, or 10. So we're connecting with 20,000 plus people on a consistent basis. And the community page is not about our business. It's about being a resource. And so I think just by being a resource to people, I get asked questions all the time, like, hey, what's being built at this street corner? I don't know. Let me find out. And, I find out, hey, by the way, have you thought about buying a house or buying an investment property? And so we've learned we have to ask for business. And that's where I think a lot of, as a new agent, I didn't want to ask for business. I think that's something that even a lot of veteran agents struggle with. But if we don't ask, guess what? Someone else is.
Well, and the thing is, like, we're walking down the street and we're seeing a neighbor bringing garbage out, and I mean, like, a lot. And my wife says, it looks like they're going to move. And so I'm over 2 doors down at a neighbor's house that we're getting ready to sell theirs, and he goes, yeah, so and so is moving, and they've hired so and so. I'm like, when you see it's like the little signs that are happening, and I know that neighbor, but they didn't call us because we're not talking about real estate, and we're not asking for that referral or for that opportunity. Right. And so there's always someone else behind you who's going to pick up that leg if you don't do it.
Yeah, and I think that's the one of the things that really changed my mindset is, I'm in my office right now, and I have a window over here to my left. And the lady put her house up for sale, and she hired Carrie Light, and Carrie Light's a friend of mine. And so for 6 months, that house didn't sell. So every day for 6 months, I got to see Carrie Light's sign, to the point that I took a picture of it and I had it hanging over my computer. And, my rationale behind that was, I'm never going to let that happen again. If they choose another agent, that's okay. I can't stop them from choosing another agent. But they're not going to choose another agent because they don't know that I'm not a real estate agent, or that I don't want to help them in some capacity buy or sell a home. So that was very, it's funny. Every time I see Carrie, that I think that was very pivotal to my real estate career to, propel us to where we are today, because that was motivation.
Right. No, and of course for 6 months you've got to see that sign, and it kind of annoys you, but it's like, and that I love having the sign there or the picture there. As that reminder of every day, make your 5 phone calls, figure out how you're going to get in front of the people and stuff.
Right. Oh, no, I agree. And, there's nothing worse. Then you got open houses, and then you see people driving into your neighborhood that and, you're outside doing yard work, and they're coming to the open house. And I'm like, well, you're going to buy a house, and, let me go shower real quick, and let me walk you inside. So
that's funny. So going back into like 2020, I know you were, when we were on the panel together, we both talked about like the events we used to like to hold. And, that was a big thing in your community that's, because you're in Laureate Park, and it's a small community like we're in Wekiva. There's 3,000 homes there, and, that's where our niche is. And so we like to hold events around the area. And so how did you guys get into the event idea? And what did you do in 2020 to pivot to still stay in touch with people? Was it just the drive-by stuff, or what was the idea there?
So in 2015, it was actually October 2015, I just came up with the idea, and I said, it'd be really cool to just do an outdoor movie. And I had a buddy of mine who had outdoor speakers. So I asked my wife, I said, hey, can I spend $500 on a projector and an inflatable movie screen? And she said, yes. And I went out and I got, an inspector that I've been working with since 2010, and I still work with him today. And a few other, sponsors for like $50 each. So everyone chipped in like $50, and we set up a movie night. We promoted it on the Facebook page in the neighborhood, like my small section of the neighborhood, which is like 215 homes. We made flyers. We rolled up the flyers, put them on all the doors, and they showed up. We had about 75 families, maybe 80 families. And we had popcorn, we had drinks. We even had wine that night, which we got away from serving the alcohol. But they showed up, and we kept doing that for 3 months. And after 3 months, we knew all of our neighbors. And I always capture their information. No matter what we do, we're always giving away prizes. And after 3 months, I had 0 leads as far as people who wanted to buy a house or sell a house. And we even thought about giving up. Well, January, let's do another movie night. So, because we actually did movie nights when the sun was setting earlier. So October, November, December, January, February. So January, we did another movie night and I got my first listing. And then in February, I got 3 more listings. And then in March, I got 3 more listings. And we started to expand to the other parts of the neighborhood. I know you said I'm not in Laureate Park. I'm in North Lake Park in Lake Nona. So I'm next to the
North Lake. Sorry.
Yep. And that's okay. And so slowly we expanded to have all 1,500 homes invited. And we shifted from the flyers to doing door hangers. So, part of our business was walking the neighborhood with door hangers, with the front being, whether it was a community event or a movie night or what have you. And then on the backside, it would have just listed, pending, sold. And, because we wanted to be, hey, the community resource, but then we also wanted to let you know, hey, we sell homes too. And we always came up with really creative things, from glow stick parties to winter dance jams and rock painting. And, then instead of the sun setting before Thanksgiving, it was doing afterwards. So in 2016, we did a pumpkin patch where we would do pumpkin decorating, which the kids and the families love. And so we just continued. We did something every month. And every time someone would say, maybe you should do it every other month. And I was just like, no, because, there was an agent who dominated my community from 2003 all the way up until 2015. And I was like, look, the day I stop is the day someone else is going to jump in and, try to be assertive and take the lead in our community. So we've done something every month. Now, of course, when COVID hit, that stunk, majorly stunk. We have not done any major community events. We've done things more on a virtual. We've done it through Facebook. We did our pumpkin patch was still a grab and go. We really wanted people to know, like an example with the teachers, like we'll do a hot breakfast with the teachers, like a grab and go with the Chick-fil-A chicken biscuits. And so, we let the teachers promote us, by tagging us or posting, hey, thanks to Kevin and Yvette Kendrick or the Kendrick team. So it's made it really good that we haven't done the community events. And I was all eager to start back up in January. We actually had our business plan was to do something once, like the first, second, and fourth week of each month. We had something planned. Wow. And that, because they were going to be on a little bit more smaller scale. And of course, as you know, I went into the hospital with COVID. So we've really kind of just kept our distance, because in Lake Nona, I was very fortunate that when I went in the hospital, because of the community page that I run, and, we've been very blessed with our status in the community. The community really rallied around me being in the hospital. They really rallied around my wife and my boys being at home. It was a very unique, I don't necessarily know if it would happen in different parts of the city, but it would have been very bad for us to come in and say, hey, thanks, I'm out of the hospital. Now we're going to do this amazing community event. And we're going to bring everyone together. So we haven't done anything public yet, other than just going into the schools and working with the teachers. But we've just been doing a lot of Facebook video, a lot of ways to engage, the community by going to different events and activities that, socially distance. And because of my hospital stay, we're just very careful about going out and doing something publicly. So we didn't do the Christmas parade, but we were going to do a pretty cool Christmas parade with the Grinch and Olaf and Santa and all of that. So we've just kind of had to shift a little bit. We did a pop-up, we went on and we advertised it as, hey, we're going to go to Dunkin' Donuts from 10 to 11. We're going to buy you a donut and a coffee, and come on in and get a donut and a coffee on the Kendrick team. And we probably had 50 people come in, and we're just going to continue to do pop-ups. And instead of us going out and doing them in our neighborhood, we're going to partner with the businesses that want to partner with us. And we're going to say, this is like with the Dunkin', that their slow time was 10 to 11. It could have been 9 to 10. I think it was 10 to 11. But we went in there during their slow time, and we probably brought them 40 more customers than they would have had on a normal Thursday from 10 to 11. Right. So, so now we're going to, Cinco de Mayo is coming up. So I'm sure we'll partner with one of the businesses to do a Taco Tuesday or, something with the tacos. So just once again, just kind of now it's more of a pop-up, but you're partnering with a business. And the neat thing is then we're also offsetting our costs because we're getting sponsorship dollars, and So I think that's one of the keys for anyone who's watching is, doing events is fun. Doing events when other people is paying for it is even more fun. And so we've always leveraged, our partners well, and, they have the vision that we have. We don't ask for money for postcards or Zillow or anything like that. We ask to say, hey, this is what we want to do. And we all get business from it. So it's been really fortunate that, like, last school year, we sold, I think, 10 homes to teachers, and we sold 2 principals' homes. So that's pretty cool that, when the principal of Dr. Phillips calls you up and says, hey, Kevin, can you sell my home? Yeah. We want to sell the principal's home.
Parents that are agents over there too, which is nice to respect that.
Yeah, so that's really cool, and and then I knew she was going to be buying over in Brevard, and she had an agent over in Brevard, and she's, hey, Kevin, can I just ask you a question, because I want to make sure this is right. And I felt that was really cool that we've established the relationship with a lot of the educators that that they still want to call and ask certain questions, if they're investing or if they're buying in a different area or something like that. That they just want to make sure it's being done the right way. So
yeah. Well, we did, I started hosting events back in 2016, and we started with a happy hour, and we went to a fall festival. And then I think it was 2019, we did our first movie event, rented out a theater, and we filled the room up. 100 people were there, which was cool, something different. And then, again, spring break, COVID hit, and we're like, all right, well, we usually have our happy hour. What are we going to do? So we ordered beach towels for everybody and had them delivered to their house. And I'm all in the brand. What I can put my name on and keep the brand recognition going. And I put a post out the other day. What is something you think of when you see me? And one person goes, all your stuff that you have, like the hats, the shirts, the whatever. Yetis and everything, and beach towels. So it's like swag, I guess, is what I was trying to come up with. But so we wanted to get into the fall festival again, but we didn't want to obviously host a festival because obviously we didn't want to have too many people around. So we did was pumpkins and pitchers. And so, like, you guys had the grab and go pumpkin thing. So we took that idea and hired a photographer and set up a little theme at the office and set them up on 5-minute rotating. It's like you come in, get your shot, go. Next family, come in, get your shot, get your pumpkin, and go. And that brought in, probably another 100 people back to the office to go get pumpkins.
Right.
And
well, and
it was really
I
cool.
think, yeah, to piggyback on that, I think, you mentioned the photographer. That's a great way to connect with people. So for those of y'all watching, you got Easter coming up. So pictures with the Easter bunny. You've got Santa. You've got Halloween. You've got things. Anything that you can incorporate a photographer in is really cool. We didn't do that because that was right at the time I went to the hospital. But I think that's a great way to leverage, because of course they're going to take the picture, they're going to put it on their refrigerator or at their office, and they're always going to think of you. So I think that's that was good. That was smart.
So that's coming up on Easter. We're doing the same thing. We're not going to have a bunny here, but we're going to do it the day before Easter on Saturday. We're having the event at the office. We're doing a 30-day blitz with the team. Get in front of all your people. We're going to send out the Calendly. And I didn't, obviously we've all dove into Zoom and StreamYard and Calendly and all these online tools a lot more, and not realizing we can set up Calendly where there's like literally per 15-minute section, you can have 3 families book an appointment. So I'm seeing these things when we send the initial emails out. I'm like, God, well, this is really going to work because we're getting all these people connecting and blocking times. And when we had a few that had to cancel, I was thankful that we had, I think 4 or 5 families did cancel because they couldn't come. And I was like, cool, there's a little bit of a break. And I'm seeing families up there taking, a good 10 minutes, getting the kids, then them, then the father and son, then the mom and the son. It was like, what is this, a photo session? You're supposed to get your photo of pumpkin and go. But that's what we're doing for Easter as well. So we're going to start, we got our note cards to be sent out this Friday, and then it's going to be calls, emails, and really trying to engage them a lot more this year in this run. But it's something different. So we're going to give it a shot a second time.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys that you kind of mentioned it. A lot of people forget that, you mentioned the calls, the texts, the emails. I think a lot of people forget that that's part of farming too, is, you host the event and then you got to invite the people, but then you got to do the follow-up after the fact of saying, hey, Todd, thank you so much for coming to our event. Is there anything I can do to help you? And even if they say no, hey, Todd, that's great. Thank you so much. Hey, one last question. in this market, my script is, Todd, have you ever, if someone offered you the right price for your home, would you sell? And that's my script that I'm using right now. Pre-COVID, I was probably saying, hey, Todd, who do you know who wants to buy, sell, and invest in real estate?
Right.
Typical line. But right now, my script, and it's been working, is, hey, Todd, if someone offered you the right price for your home, would you sell it? And a lot of people say yes. And okay, great. Let's sit down and let's talk about it. And we've captured several listings in 2021. In fact, we've got 2 that are going on the market tomorrow, people who are looking for the right price, but they're willing to trust us to sell their home.
So you're, I want to talk about the teachers and stuff. So you've done all your farming, you've gotten all your, you do concentrate in that community area, which makes for more of a bigger impact. What is, are you guys trying to plan any events this year, or are you just going to keep doing the pop-ups to see how that goes?
I think we're going to continue to do the pop-ups for now. I think we're going to, the goal is to still try to go into my community, which I'm in North Lake Park. Richard, Astrid, and Alex live in Randall Park, which we started farming 2 years ago. And then Julie and Melanie's our marketing girl, live in Eagle Creek. So I think we're still going to try to do at least one event, a socially distanced event, at least once a quarter. One of the things that I like that's really cheap, so for anyone that's watching this far into our interview, glow sticks and glow stick parties are amazing. They can be socially distanced. Kids are going to run around and have fun. So we're still going to try to do them, do some community events, because we need to still connect with our neighbors. But the pop-up events, I think, are going to continue to be a huge hit in 2021 and beyond, because we're partnering with the business, for the Dunkin' Donuts guy to get an extra 40 customers on a Thursday from 10 to 11, he made money. And guess what?
Yeah,
we made connections, and of course, all the marketing and advertising that goes into it is huge as well.
No, I think the great thing about that is just to get, for us, I love doing the parties because it's a way to see the people again. And, it's like where you don't, and I loved our fall festivals because we'd have 200 people show up, and I have an opportunity to like connect with everybody and spend 10 minutes just having a conversation while the kids are running around with a DJ, a food truck, feeding them. The photographers are getting the kids photos. They've got the petting zoo. They can be over there while the adults can actually have some time with their kids doing something confined, area, and have fun doing that. It was good. So want to talk in. So what is your goals for 2021 as far as transaction amount and like your team makeup? Are you guys still growing, or are you trying to stay small, but that's still huge?
So as the team part, I think we've reached our capacity for now. Of course, we want our agents to feel like we're supporting them and that they're going to be able to generate business and leverage, our name and what we do. And part of our business model is open houses. So, this weekend we've got 4 open houses. We've got, I think, Alex is the only one who's doing an open house by himself. Everyone else, we have 2 people in an open house because we expect a lot of people to come through each one. But and Alex is also a lot bigger than all of us. So I'm not too worried about Alex, someone coming in and trying to mess with Alex. But so I think from the team capacity where we are right now, I think we're good, with the dynamic that we have. And the best part about it is we all get along. We enjoy hanging out together. We enjoy spending time together, and it's, I think one thing, and I can't speak for other teams, but like I don't know if it was Friday night or Saturday night, I ended up at Richard's house, Yvette and I with Richard and Astrid. And there's been times where we've just kind of had impromptu date nights, or Yvette and Julie have gone out to dinner with Faith and Melanie. So, all on any given day or any given night, anyone on our team could be hanging out with the other person or with their spouse or their fiance. So, so that's always, to me, that's important. As far as our goals this year, we have to increase our goals. We've increased every single year. Richard's increased his every year since he's been in business. I have. So, our goal's 50 million. And we didn't put a transactional number on that. We probably should have. Our goal is to sell 15 homes a month. And so, but we wanted to do that January to October. So that's what, 150 homes. We're behind that. We're on pace volume wise. We've done, in 2 months, we've done just under 10 million. So we're on pace for 60. We sold 15 homes in February, but we only sold 7 in January. One of those was a $1.3 million home. So that made up for the lack of, but I think we've got 10 to 12 scheduled for March. And we're just continuing. And remember, Julie and Astrid are new. So once they get into that routine of doing 2 to 3 a month, Richard and I, we've always felt we're good for 5 to 7 a month. And so, I think we're going to get to that point where we're going to be able to do 15, because once October 31st hits, November 1st, we're already focusing on 2022.
Right. And that's, and usually the stuff that's happening, then it's either they're like talking about doing stuff in the spring, or it's like they're a cash buyer ready to close then. And there's not a lot of business that happens. It's really just finishing up your October closings during the November, December timeframe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we kind of adopted that the 12-week work year that came out, so that to kind of chunk your goals, and so that way you don't fall short. Because I think a lot of times agents will say, hey, I know I'm going to be busy April, March, April, May, and June, and then they expect the slowdown, and then they're always adjusting their goals and things like that. And last year, I'm glad Debbie did not give me the opportunity to change my goals. Our goals last year was 100 homes and 30 million. And my team leader in my office, she, in April, she goes, do you want to change your goals? I go, no, our goal's 100 homes, $30 million. And we sold 116 for 40 million. And we were if you know much about the Advantage Group, we've had some heavy hitters come through. We were the first team to have have a million GCI as a team. And I guess the 20-year history of our office, which was pretty cool. And for all the 3 Advantage Group offices, we were only the 3rd team to do it. So we might have been the 4th, depending on when Rick Brown and his team hit it. Because Rick Brown and I, we were about kind of the same quite a bit. So.
Well, that's amazing success as well, because if you figure you've been really, I guess full-time for a year and a half or 2 years since you quit the other job in 19. But I'm 20 years in this business and 2 years running a much larger team. And, we did a little over 40 million last year. And we were also the same thing. There was really 3 to 4 of us in sales, because my business was really awesome last year. One of my other agents, he was still calling fizzles and expires and getting the listings last year. And then 2 of them, just the leads kind of stopped. And the opportunities, they kind of all, like one of them had 18 solid buyers in February. 16 of those went away. And we're still helping those. They're all coming back now, but it's like, you had this projected this awesome year, and all of a sudden it just got quiet.
Yeah. And I'll say, and here's a good example. So and maybe this is just mindset, but, I go back to, and I hope Richard doesn't mind me sharing this if he watches this whole thing, but, last year, he lost 3 transactions in a week that came up to about $1 million. And he was so frustrated, he was ready to quit. And, and I'm sure he's glad he didn't. And I'm very glad he didn't, because I think he was just like, I'm going back to the work world, because he came from, corporate America too. And ironically, a week later, I lost 3 transactions for about $1.5 million. And I never said anything to him about it, but I just kept doing my thing, because to me, we lost 3. That sucks. Okay, but cool. Right. We've got 10 in the pipeline, or 50, whatever's in the pipeline. But I also I'm a big believer that, if I lose 3, God's going to provide 10. And now Richard, when he loses 1, 2, or 3, he gets frustrated, but he's like, I'm just going to go get more. And then I'll get that text, let's go. Because he's gotten, since we've been on the phone, he's already texted me. He's like, hey, I need your calendar because I got another listing. So, and this year we're in a very depraved inventory market. So we're focusing on the listings. The buyers will come, even in this market, for every listing we get, we should get 2 buyers. And, we've been blessed to get a lot of listings so far since January. In fact, I think we've signed 19 or 20, 21, and nice. we want to continue to do it. But I tell my buyer's agent, hey guys, your buyer's agents, get the listings. Because the listings are going to give us open house opportunities, which are going to lead to buyers opportunities, which leads to customers for you. And I'll give a good example. We had an open house in Dr. Phillips. Richard had like 15 people come through the door. One couple that he's got multiple customers from that open house, but one of them, they bought a $500,000 home in Dr. Phillips. And then tomorrow we're putting on their $325,000 home in Oviedo. And all from 2 hours worth of time from, for Richard at that open house. And that turns into, not only did we sell that $425,000 home in Dr. Phillips. We got a $500,000 purchase out of it, and we got a three. So that was a $1.2 million open house.
2 hour day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that,
yeah.
if you look at your price per hour for that time, is it worth doing open houses? And some people are great at them. Some people aren't. I've got a guy in my office who did 30 deals last year off open houses, and he was dying. He's like, I've got to get back out there. They're shut down open houses. I've got to be in front of people. And he'll drag people back in and make them sign a contract. I laugh when I hear him, but that's all he does. And where's the open houses?
We're very, I mean, we don't do a lot of them on weekdays. I know Rick Brown, if you ever want to do a segment on open houses, he's the king of open houses, in my opinion, because they do them on weekdays too. But we do a lot on the weekends, and we generate a lot of business from the open houses. And, you know, it's interesting because they all have my name on the open houses. So people will go into the open houses thinking they're going to see me, and which is nice. It's very flattering. Yeah. But, you know, we've worked at that for 5, 6, 7 years to create that culture within the community.
They walk in, they're expecting somebody, and they're like, "Oh, you must be Todd's wife." No, you're not Todd's wife. It's one of the girls in the office doing the open house.
But open houses, I will say, you know, we see more people, especially in the Lake Nona area, coming in without real estate agents, or they come in with a real estate agent, and because we ask them to fill out the form, and they'll say they have a real estate agent. I go, that's great. I always ask, I say, who are you working with? Because if they say Todd, I'm going to say, hey, let's take a picture. You know, I know Todd. Let's take a picture together. Let's send it to Todd and let him know you're here. Yeah. Most of them will say they don't know who the real estate agent is.
Right.
And
the program to say that, and it's, you know, it's a good way to get them. It's not who are you working with one, but what's their name? What's your agent's name?
Yeah.
Or who are you working with?
And here's the flip side. When we meet with our buyers, we'll give them like 10 business cards, and we'll say, look, if you want to go in the builder, that's great. You give this to the builder. When you go to open houses, you just give that. I said, then they won't ask you for their phone number, and we'll give them like 10 business cards. And if we find out that they're going to open houses and they're giving our cards away, we'll call them up. Hey, Todd, do you need more business cards? I saw you went to open. I got like 5 phone calls that you went to open houses. Let me give you some more business cards. Yeah. Because we want to train our customers that they are working with Kevin, Richard, Alex, Julie, Astrid, Yvette, Faith. We don't want them going in to say, I don't know who my agent is. He's some guy in Lake Nona. And next thing you know, they signed the contract with that guy that you were just talking about. And now they signed a buyer's agreement with him, not with us. And we just lost a buyer.
Right. No, it is training them up front. It's the whole idea of the buyer consultation. Whether it's on Zoom or it's in office, if it's on Zoom, cool. I'm going to mail you some cards. So if you do stop in anything, here it is. You know, let's get things going.
Especially with limited inventory and people going to new construction. So I think it's more important than ever that as agents, if you're watching this, that you give them these so that when they walk in, they say, Kevin's my agent. And then they're going to call me. And I even tell my people, don't fill out the form. You know, because if they want me with you present, then I'll come back with you. I'll be present with you. But I can't speak for the rest of my team. I think we have probably another 10 new construction deals under. I have 7 in that where people have literally walked in, they gave them my card, they signed a contract, and I'm the agent of record. I didn't go in there with them.
Builders to respect that, you know, if they walk in and say it, so it's good you got your buyers connected that way. Because a lot of buyers, if you're not there, you're not getting paid.
And I do tell the people, if the builders, because I know which builders in the Lake Nona area I'm required to be at. And I tell them, if you're going to go to these communities, just call me. Someone from our team will go there with you. Yeah. But I know that a lot of the builders and, you know, we just want to build up that rapport with them that they're going to honor that because they also know that we're going to bring them value as well in this limited inventory market. And so, you know, Pulte's a good example, you know, that my guy he went in there, he gave him my card and I called Elizabeth and Elizabeth's like, oh no, Kevin, we know that you're always talking about us. We know that you're sending people to us, even if they're not your customers. And so we love you for what you do. So I was like, that's great. I've never heard that before. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And, you know, they have 2 communities now just in Lake Nona, and then they're going to be building another 4 to 6. So we hope to do more business with Pulte. So yeah, that works.
You know, it's a good to have the reputation with the builders as well, so you can keep the brand name out there and keep your reputation going. Because then if you can keep it in there, it's going to keep it going. I mean, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, Kevin, I appreciate all this. I mean, I could go on for another 20, 30 minutes. Like being on the panel, we could just hold that mic forever and just keep talking and talking because there's a lot of value we could drop.
Yeah.
I have one last question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
What is the recommendation for buyer agents right now to get a contract accepted? Like how to write a winning offer?
So on our team, I'm the listing agent. So if you're a buyer's agent and you are watching this right now, one, submit your best offer. Okay, right away. Don't come in and let's feel the market and let's pray that they don't get multiple offers. Let's hope that they call for highest and best, because as a listing agent, I tell my people at this point, look, it's not about the highest, it's about the best. Okay. Yeah. So if you know you're going into a multiple offer situation, and I price my home so that they're going to appraise. So I price them at the peak of the market. So, you know, a $400,000 home, if you offer me $450,000, it doesn't matter because it's not going to appraise. Right. So what we do is I tell my buyer's agents and I tell my sellers, I said, look, if we're in multiple offer situation, first we're going to ask the buyers, you know, we're going to ask them to pay for doc stamps. Okay. Then we're going to ask them to pay for title policy. And guess what that does? $400,000 home, that's probably $5,000 savings to the seller. Appraisal comes in at $395, $390. Yeah. Okay, that stinks. We got a bad appraisal. Okay. However, that's guaranteed money that's written into the contract that cannot be changed. So even if my people lose $10,000 on an appraisal, my sellers, they're still making $5,000. Okay. Yeah. So and it works all the time. Half of our listings this year that we've closed have had multiple offers with the buyers paying both title and doc stamps. Okay. Now, buyer's agents, your people have to have cash in order to do that. So if they don't have cash, that stinks. Then you're going to have to pray that the listing agent is all about the highest. Todd, no lie, we sold a house that we had two competing offers, and they were all willing to pay all the closing costs. And eventually it was, okay, who's going to pay for the buyer's agent's commission? And the agents both looked at me and they said, well, what do you mean? Well, it's a 2.5% commission. So how bad does your buyer want the house? No lie. The buyers paid for both all the closing costs plus commissions for the sellers. That's how bad they wanted the house. Yeah. And so buyer's agents, you need to know how much cash. It's an uncomfortable conversation. Here's how hey, Todd, I hate to ask this question, but this stays between you and me. How much cash do you have in the bank? Oh, I'm pre-approved up to $400,000. That's great. How much cash do you have in the bank? I have $40,000. Great. Do you have access to more cash if you need it? Because in this market, you need more cash. Can you cash in pull from a 401k or get a gift? Uncomfortable. I tell them it stays with us. It does. But we got to know those questions, because if you walk into a house and you say, Kevin, man, this is the one. Don't lose this house for me. If you do this, I've got never ending referrals for you. That's where me knowing you have extra cash. Hey, Todd, we're going to give a full price offer. We're going to offer title policy and doc stamps right away. Best offer. And we're going to try to get the listing agent to accept it right away.
And I'm glad I asked this question, because one of the key takeaways there is the appraisal issues that we're having. If I offer you $400,000, or if I offer you $405,000 in that $400,000 house, and it only appraises at $395,000, and I'm not paying closing costs, well, now I've got to come down $10,000. Well, now instead I can come down $5,000, and then you're still paying those costs as part of your stuff, and I'm only losing as a seller, losing a little bit of money if I was to negotiate off that sales price and break it down. So
it's win-win for the sellers, because if we had a house that we had 15 offers. I literally spent a Sunday negotiating all of these offers, and now in our realtor remarks, we're now putting the thing in there: submit your best offer on your very first offer, because the sellers may not call for highest and best. So if I get 10 offers this Saturday for one of our listings, we have one that we're going to get 15 to 20 offers, then I might very well eliminate half the offers. If, I won't eliminate them. I'll let the seller do that based on them not submitting their best, because they think that it's going to go to highest and best. So in the realtor remarks, we're going to submit your highest and best initially, and sellers are going to make a decision on Sunday at 5.
Yeah, I don't like the escalation clauses, because it does get hairy, and it's not always about the highest offer. It is about the best. And I've had people say, well, I offered you more. And again, it's all about, terms and honestly who we're dealing with. And
we had that's I'm sorry, Todd, I didn't mean to interrupt. That's a great point.
No,
We used on a buyer, one of Richard's buyers, we used an escalation clause. It was a 505 listing. Richard went up to 520 and the appraisal came in at 500.
Yeah.
And so our people ended up paying the extra 5 to get back to 505.
Yeah.
But if they would have said 505 and pay for the doc stamps and title policy, our people would have done that. And there's probably a good chance it would have appraised at 505. Because I think the appraiser says, "Oh, we're off by $5,000. I'll give it to you." But when you're off by $20,000, they're not going to give it to them. Yeah.
Well, the ones that I don't think will appraise. The ones that I think will appraise don't appraise. So it's the weirdest time right now.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir right there.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, I appreciate you jumping on today. We went really long, but there's a lot of value we've added here. And again, if everybody wants to shoot a referral out to Lake Nona, Kevin is the man that I would talk to. He dominates that area. As he said, he's taken over. The old agents are gone, and he's the new one in there. So, Kevin, I appreciate everything again. And everyone, just make sure you tune in, like us on Facebook, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and give Kevin a like and a thumbs up on his stuff there. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, Todd, thank you so much, man. It's a blessing. I have a lot of respect and admiration for you and what you've accomplished. And so to be the one getting interviewed by you is a blessing. So thank you so much.
Feelings mutual. I'm going to be on your show one day.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll reverse the roles coming up.
Yeah. Awesome. Everyone, thanks. Have an awesome Friday.
All right.